Hi guys, this is the Leadership Go with Miss Jokibed, and in this space we talk about leadership with emphasis on integrity and then skills. And on today's episode, we'll be looking at leading yourself, self-leadership. Today's episode is certainly one that you don't want to miss. Enjoy. Before we get to the concept of self-leadership, we want to first of all talk about what leadership is. And according to Reverend Michael Brainy, leadership is the discovery of purpose and the genuine pursuit of it until fulfilled. So this definition makes us understand that before you can first of all exercise leadership, you have to discover your purpose. You have to know who you are and where you are going to. And this is so practical because when you look at the leaders or the people that really do inspire us, let's look at, for example, your favorite footballers, the late Dr. Miles Monroe. Let's look at, for example, Vusi, Nelson Mandela, all these people. They are people that we accord as leaders or we recognize as leaders, first of all, because they discovered their purpose and they genuinely pursued it. And in the fulfillment of their purpose, we now follow them. It was not first from a place of they wanting to lead, but they started from a place of purpose, of pursuing what they discovered. And then in the fulfillment of that, we now accord or we acknowledge them as people who are fit to lead us. And this leads us to the topic of self-leadership, because without self-leadership, there is no way you'll be able to fulfill whatever purpose that you have set for yourself. If, for example, these people that I've spoken about, they didn't lead themselves and they didn't set themselves to certain high standards, there is no way you will see them at that space and then be also influenced by what they did. So what then is self-leadership? Self-leadership, in the simple way, is about knowing who you are, what you want, how to get it, and then the difficult part, where the work is about you being able to influence or align your thought, your actions, and your emotions to be able to get it, right? That is what the whole concept of self-leadership. And in this definition, we have, first of all, self-awareness. Before you can lead yourself, you really need to be aware of who you are. You need self-awareness because you just can't control what you don't know. So you have to have a deep talk with yourself. Be genuine with yourself. What are your drivers? What drives you? What are your weaknesses? You have to acknowledge your weaknesses, not because they define who you are, but so that they can help you to set a pace for developing yourself, because your weaknesses are basically your development areas. So you really need to have that conversation with yourself, talk to yourself. What am I good at? Where do I need to improve? Where do I have to start working on? From self-awareness, you now move to self-regulation. This is the hardest of all of them. This is the time where you now have to align your emotions, your actions towards the fulfillment of whatever objective you are desiring. So without you being able to regulate yourself, you will not be able to achieve whatever you set your mind to. This is where the real work is done. And if you are able to overcome this phase, then you'll be able to fulfill whatever you have to achieve. And then from there, you'll be able to influence other people's actions and behavior. And in this part, it is very important to know that whatever decision that you make here is a choice between your higher self and then your lower self. What do I mean by higher self and lower self? Your higher self is the self that you want to attain. And the lower self is where you are the self that is comfortable with being lazy, with no progress. But the higher self is where you are able to achieve, where you are looking at, where the self that you know that at this point I will be able to exercise influence, where leadership becomes very natural. And for whatever decision that you take, you must note that it is either going to make you grow or it is also going to bring you down. The sad reality is that people usually choose the lower self and forget that even the higher self is available. And actually, the lower self is very easy to choose. It's not difficult to choose your lower self, because, for example, if I am a student and I want to achieve straight A's in my semester, my higher self is the straight A's, where I want to be better in my academics, but the lower self is where, like, I'm comfortable with failure. What would determine whether I'm able to achieve the higher self is the decision that I make. So as a student, if I make a decision to sleep, which is very, very easy, you don't need a formula to sleep, actually, you just sleep. It is very, very easy to choose that one. It is very, very easy to choose Netflix over you burning the candles, you studying all night just to make sure that you are able to ace your papers. So that is it. It is very, very important that you are able to regulate and always have the bigger picture in mind, the why. Why is it important to achieve what you want to achieve? Because that will be the inspiration and the motivation to always move on. So basically, self-leadership is very, very important because, first of all, that would determine whether you can be a successful leader. It would determine whether, after all, overall, you'll be able to achieve your goals and be able to exercise that influence on people. Also, it will also determine the extent which you would be given permission to lead others. Because, mind you, you can only give what you have. You cannot demand discipline from someone when you yourself, you're not disciplined. You cannot be a personal development coach to somebody when, in the first place, you are not even aware of yourself and you are not committed. You lack personal integrity. So the extent to which you can lead others would depend on how well you are able to lead yourself. And I leave you with this, that great leadership is not about how well you are able to lead others, but it begins with how well you are able to lead yourself. Make sure you like, you subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comment section on what you learned and how you are going to lead yourself to achieve your goals. Thank you.